All right, everybody. This is Kyle Shaw with Coach's Corner. We're here with Coach Eddie Henning. First off, I have to say thank you to Danny Davis and Sportscast Media for allowing us to broadcast and bring this Coach's Corner to all of you. Also, big thanks to all the faculty at HLV and Tri-County. Main people we work with are ADs Bo Jack at HLV, Amanda Sowers at Tri-County, HLV Principal Mark Tegler, HLV Superintendent Brad Hohensee. So, Eddie, congrats on the 62-6 win over Meskwaki for your first career win. Had to be some nerves going in that game as first-time head coach. Tell us a little bit about the nerves and how you thought your team played.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first off, we definitely set a statement on what we've been working on being as a team. So I was really happy with how we came out to really set a baseline of who we want to be, but obviously that's just the foundation. So we're going to build from there. But as far as our physicality, the mental focus that we came into the game with, couldn't have been happier with a first showing of their new era of HLV football. For myself, maybe a little bit of nerves. I'd say the biggest nerves that I had were more preparing to make sure I had all the equipment. We were on the bus, and I was just thinking, man, I really hope I didn't forget something that we're really going to need. But thankfully, we didn't forget anything important when we got there. But, I would say that my nerves about the game, you're always going to have butterflies even when you're a player, right? So it was a similar kind of Friday feeling to what you get as a player, but nothing too different. And, you kind of rely on and fall back on your habits and your training, and with as much game speed or trying to get to game speed as we've been running in practice as far as calls and managing the game, it's always a different level when you get into a real game, but I felt like we were feeling prepared as a coaching staff for that as well.
So, you kind of hit this next question already on the nail on the head. I mean, I said what we noticed up in the booth were kids finishing plays off, whether that was blocking into the whistle, was blocking 10 to 15 yards downfield, or gang tackling. Sometimes there were 5 to 6 guys bringing down the ball carrier. Where is that effort coming from to start the year? Is it something you preach and practice every day, or is it just the way you were fired up on the sidelines so the kids follow your lead on the field?
Yeah, I definitely do get fired up on the sidelines. Everybody probably sees that, but the credit definitely goes to the kids for that. And similar to, what I talked about for myself and managing the game, in a lot of cases, how we play on the field falls back on our habits and our training, right? And we've made it a big priority all the way through preseason and getting into game preparation to have those periods where we're practicing that intensity. We're putting an emphasis on the way that we tackle, the way that we gang tackle, the way that we finish through the whistle. But the credit goes to the kids for picking it up. We've got some juniors and seniors and some underclassmen that are really stepping up as great leaders by example and vocal leaders on the team, and they set the precedent. So all kudos to them for getting a good showing on that here in the first week.
Yeah, I talked to some parents, and they said just walking into warm-ups at the game, just the way you were so fired up, the kids were they weren't just going through the motions when they're warming up. They were actually just getting after it, and that's huge, and that's just testament to what you're saying right there. So tell us a little background about your assistants. We'll start with Cody Fromm, since he's the hometown guy. Played here for quite a few years. I think he played all three out of the 4 years. I think freshman he might have not got a lot of varsity time, but I know he played quarterback and stuff for you. How did he decided to get into coaching this year with you, and what's kind of his specialty? What is he? Is he more of your quarterback coach, offense coordinator, stuff like that?
Yeah, yep. First, huge thanks to both of those guys because, coming in as kind of the young guns as our crew is right now, and maybe a little bit green under our feet and everything, but all the help that they've given so far to make this all run, I wouldn't be able to do it myself without the help that they give. As far as Cody, like you mentioned, he's our defensive coordinator. But comes from a background of, another successful era of HLV football, right? Saw a lot of success during his time. And I would say that, his desire is strictly from a desire to make the program better. He feels the identity that I would and a lot of alumni out there do for the HLV program and want to see it succeed. And he basically came and said, hey, I'll do whatever I need to do to help out. Put me wherever you need me. So he's been a great asset for that, and also to, bring the hometown connection. He knows the background of what HLV football is. He knows what the legacy is. And he's been a great proponent of carrying on all those things that have made HLV football so great through, different periods in history. So,
and then go ahead and just talk about Zach Sampson, where your lives cross, and him deciding to help out. Because I don't really know him at all. I'm going to guess you met him through your 100 other things you do in life. So go ahead and talk about him.
Yeah, so Zach is from Baxter, Iowa. So I guess his football background, he was a kind of a standout quarterback at Baxter. He hates it when I say that, but he was a Shrine Bowl guy. He was recruited all over the place, but then ended up did a stint as a defensive end at Iowa State. Went to a couple other colleges, and then our paths crossed at Central. So it was kind of a random draw. My first semester roommate had left college, and they just gave me a random transfer in, and it was Zach, and then we were college roommates the rest of the time, basically. So, obviously became really good friends, and he's one of my best friends, was in my wedding and everything, but also a really good football guy, right? He's played a lot of football. His brother was a great football player, and Zach definitely stands out as a really good offensive-minded guy. And what, years ago when we would kind of talk about coaching, it was one of those things that was like, it'd be cool to coach together someday, or like if one of us is a head coach somewhere, we ought to team up. So then when I ended up taking the head job, he was kind of my first call to make sure that to see if he was interested, and thankfully he said yes. So he's a great resource, great quarterbacks coach. So he's good at coaching them up, and whenever he can come help out the D-line, he's good to have around too.
Yeah, so does he still live in the Baxter area? Is he living closer to Victor now with coaching?
Yep, he is still living over near Baxter, kind of around Newton area. He works on his family farm and drives a truck for hauling grain and all other kinds of stuff for them too. So he's committed with the drive for sure, making a drive over every day.
That's what I was worried about. But I mean, helping out in the family farm, they can kind of give him some leeway and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I mean, you got that whole background too with doing what you do for your farm as well. So transitioning into this week, preview how you think the game versus EV will go this Friday night down at Thornburg. We are playing at the Tri-County Field, which is a great thing that we do with that partnership. We make sure we get one home game down there per year, per what do you want to call that, per age group?
Yeah, per level.
Junior high, varsity, JV, they all get it. So I really appreciate that you guys are allowing them to do that. Last year, EV got you guys 44-26. I know there was a lot of mistakes involved because I was on there calling that one. Is this hopefully going to be some sweet revenge this year?
Obviously we're going to hope so, for sure. It's going to be a step up, right? We came in, we gained a lot of confidence. We showed a lot of great things in our first game against Meskwaki, but obviously we're going to be stepping up to the next level of opponent this week against EV. So like you mentioned, a lot of mental mistakes last year. We played pretty loose in that game, but definitely something that as far as talent, we could have been right in, and we were right in for a long time inside of that game. So it's been a big focus for us this week to make sure that we're training ourselves mentally to, again, fall back on our habits, fall back on our training, on being mentally disciplined, being mentally focused, cut some of those things out. Overall, I think it's going to be a good game. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, just looking at like last year what they lost, last year what you guys lost. I mean, you guys both lost a couple key components, but both teams had people stepping up. And I'm like, really, it was like you said, it was a close game all the way to the end. I mean, I think they made an interception late. They got a few balls over the top of you. The tight end slipped out, I think, twice on you. So you clean up that little bit of stuff. I think it's going to be a close game. I have a coworker. He's related to the Anderson boys. So okay. he's got a bet on the game. If HLV wins, he does 30 push-ups. If EV wins, I do 30 push-ups.
All right.
So
we're going to try to save you a workout.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that anymore, honestly. So going back to this, what are the points of emphasis this week in practice besides falling back on your stuff?
Yep. Definitely mental focus has been a number one priority, but I would say number two is honestly keeping up with all of those fundamentals that we did really well in week one, right? We took care of the ball. We rallied to the ball. We tackled pretty well. Didn't have too many missed tackles, especially for a first game. All of those things that we've kind of talked about already, maintaining that, taking it to the next level. As far as, other stuff that we're making sure to emphasize, from the schemes that they have, there's some technique stuff we want to make sure that we're going to do, especially defensively, from our linebackers, from our D linemen, to make sure that we can mitigate their scheme and maybe make them go to their second favorite or third favorite scheme and go away from what they want to run. But overall, football's all fundamentals, right? And leveling up from a good week 1 into a better week 2, and continuing to do that down the road, that's always going to be the focus.
So next question, and this is kind of a loaded question. I just said before we got on here, you can make it about a position group or an individual player. Who do you look to be an X factor for your team? And it could be multiple X factors. And I know you're not going to single anybody out. That's just not how you are. So
yeah, no. Well, the first thing I was thinking of saying with that is I hope my whole team is an X factor. From the sideline guys to every dude out there. But I hope that it's going to be a big game, hopefully for our receiving core, and what we hope to do scheme wise, and see what they can really do against the next level up of opponent. The run game is always going to be huge in any single game, and we've seen a lot of success on the few plays that we had with the ones kind of running the ball. It's going to be exciting to kind of expand that repertoire a little bit and see how that fleshes out. And as always, the big men up front, the Rhinos, always got to get a shout out, but hopefully we're going to lead the way there as well.
Yeah, you always got to give a shout out. That's what you did in your high school and college career, so you got to give a shout out to those guys. So you kind of said you're going to try to get your receivers involved, but do you see yourself running the same type of scheme we saw versus Meskwaki? I know it was limited with your first team. You've got a lot more second-team reps, or just see how EV lines up and attack what you see.
Yeah, what we saw against Meskwaki is really kind of the base of our offensive scheme. That's the bones, right, that we're going to build on, the foundation. We've got a few more pieces to kind of expand on that we've been working on this week, and we'll just continue to build in and build that out bigger and bigger as the year goes. But for anybody that watched the Meskwaki game, that's really the core of it. So.
Right, and you don't want to, in that game like that, you don't want to show too much stuff, especially when Evie's going to be watching film and trying to take away whether it's a trick play or something that you have here and there. I always try to not leave the other team out, even if I'm just really calling for HLV-TC. But looking at Fisher, the quarterback down there, and then Anderson, the running back, that combined for over 300 rushing yards, and they had 5 touchdowns on the ground. I heard they run behind the Axmere kid a lot, who stands at 6'5", 316 pounds, according to Bound. How do you try to slow that down?
Yeah, well, first off is just being disciplined on assignments, in their scheme. Like you said, they want to run behind their, I think EV calls them their power guard or their power lineman. Well, they'll swap him side to side and try to run behind him either way. But, having dual threats in the backfield is definitely a consideration. They want to go power read look. They want to go into a zone read type look where, we have to be disciplined on the backside to make sure if there's a pull and the quarterback pulls on the backside that we're there just the same way. So we've definitely got some good runners and a nice lineman with good hands and good feet and good size that we're going to be going up against this week. So beyond just being disciplined on assignments, there's some scheme things that we can do based on what concept they're in that we've been looking at and practicing. But overall, it's just being disciplined on what's called and making sure that we've got great effort, great rally, and great focus.
Perfect. That's awesome. Great insight. That was first time we did a coach's corner. I didn't know how long it was going to last, and I would say 15 minutes is a good number for us. So thanks a lot for your time, Eddie, and best of luck this Friday and to the whole Warrior crew down there. We'll try to do this every Wednesday and be live each week on www.thewarriorcast.com. I'll also repost all this stuff on YouTube to share and share to the HLV Athletics Facebook page. HLV-TC will be home versus EV at Tri-County. Remember, we'll be at Tri-County. Reminder, Zach Geringer, Zach Schrapp, and I will be live on the Warrior Cast starting at 6:45 with kickoff at 7. Thanks again to Danny Davis and Sportscast Media for allowing us to do this each and every week. Thank you all Warrior fans, and hope you tune in Friday for a listen.